Fantastic. Thanks, Marcia. So, yeah, as Marcia said, my name is Hiro. I work for Thames Valley Police. But before I introduce myself, I always like to start with a story. So, back in the day, before we offer our services, before we had organizations, we had businesses, corporations, different types of anything really that we sell, we used to sell it in a kingdom. Okay. In this kingdom, we protect where we live, where our businesses are, even trade stalls, basically everything within that, behind four walls, as you say. And because that's how we protect it. And to elevate our protection, we added a gate so that there's only one point of entry. And then we then added moats, obviously, to cross the bridge, have a around the castle. And then we hired guards to do patrols to have a lookout if there's any incoming dangers. Okay. Why? Because we had then outsiders that wants to conduct services or offer their services, obviously, within our kingdom, right? So we had merchants. However, not all merchants are trustworthy. Some of them will have, you might have heard the term Trojan horse. So they would obviously have something malicious intent to bring within our kingdoms, all right, to disrupt our peace. So how did we then conquer that? All right, so we added another layer of security called the gatekeeper. So all of these security or measures is what we call a defense in depth within cybersecurity. So we added more and more layers to protect ourselves better because there's no such thing as one layer protects everything, right? So we added layers like an onion. So these gatekeepers then get given a list of who can enter and who can't enter the kingdom and who can do business. Oh, oh, yeah, no, that's completely fine, Lucy. So yeah, so they added these gatekeepers, and then obviously they know who can enter and who can't enter. They thwart any malicious actors that's trying to conduct business within our kingdom. So, however, it doesn't always work out because from history, kingdoms rise, kingdom fall, and most of them get pillaged overnight. The main reason was it was the list that gatekeeper had. It was that one that compromised the security because not his fault. He didn't know that the list was actually malicious, and that's essentially the downfall of that kingdom, right? So now we apply that to the current state of the world. Of I'm not sure if you've heard of Maersk. So Maersk is a very massive shipping company like worldwide, and it was like a massive gridlock that made the news, that made everyone terrified of how cyber attack, who did it. Basically, the virus or ransomware, as you would say, was called NotPetya. And I'm not sure if you guys remember back in 2017, it was the same virus that infected our NHS, WannaCry. So NHS WannaCry, that also made the news, and obviously it made everyone terrified of what a cyber attack is, or as you say, hacking. So Maersk, basically how they got infected was through a family business, less than 10 employee. They help them supply their documentation regarding their finance, basically, and then through that family-run business, that's how it started the virus. It wasn't even Maersk that got hacked. It was an outsider that's coming in because they trusted um, that family-run business, right? So that is essentially how hacking or scamming still applies to this day. It's not you per se; it will be somewhere around surrounding you that will probably affect you. So, who am I and where we are, or who basically employs me? We are part of a bigger organization called a Southeast Regional Organized Crime Unit, or cybercrime unit. Basically, we're a department in the cybercrime unit. Within that, we're composed of four police forces, which is your Thames Valley Police, your Hampshire and Isle of Wight, your Surrey and Sussex. So, but obviously, I cover the Thames Valley patch. But if they do need me, I do travel around Southeast because we help it with resiliency. So, who am I? Again, my name is Hiro Taylor. I came from the Philippines. I basically studied computer science in University of Greenwich. After that, I became your IT tech support. Hi there. Have you tried turning it off and on again? I've just reset your password about an hour ago. Have you forgotten it already? Um, Oh, it's not working. Well, let me have a look. And as soon as I get there, oh, it's working now. Oh, bizarre. So, and then after that, I then elevated my skills. I joined what you call a pen testing team. It's short for penetration team. Basically, they are what you call an ethical hacker. Ethical hackers, basically, we get hired by companies to try and break into their system legally. So we'll talk about CMA later. But basically, we then conduct our business, and afterwards we'll tell them how we got in, how we broke in, and then how they can basically improve their cybersecurity in a way. And then after that, obviously, I became an IT project manager. I didn't like that as much, but the position in the police opened up in their cybercrime units. I was like, let's see what the good guys are doing, just a little bit of knowledge check for myself. And I really enjoyed this job. So, what do I do in this job? My official title is called Cyber Protect Officer. And instead of breaking into things, I help protect things now by doing two major main parts. First part of my role is I help victims, from ranging from individuals to multinational companies, basically to guide them once they got hacked to basically try and get them to a more confident level again or have a better resiliency with cybersecurity so that they don't get victimized again. Repeat victim, I think that's the correct term. And then the other half is this essentially. So we do webinars, we do in person presentation, we do engagements with communities to basically share knowledge and experience that I've gained to help you to increase or bolster your cybersecurity knowledge without all the technical jargons. And as a caveat, my best friend actually does the exact similar thing. He works for Amazon and they offer this cybersecurity training or awareness for 2.5 grand for 2 hours. So I at that point I said, hang on a minute, I think I applied for the wrong job here. But it does feel good offering free things. I do love it. And I think that's why you should listen to me. And if you don't, I'm not going to hold it against you. Cybersecurity isn't the most sexiest or most interesting topic for a lot of people, but I will try and make your time worthwhile. Therefore, I start off with telling you a story and basically telling you how to hack. Okay, hacking, scamming, all of this now, cybersecurity training, all of this, okay, it's really not that complicated. It's just a lot of people try to make it so, and the movies just over exaggerated. Before we start, or before I go into it, I'd like to ask you a question of firstly, how long or what's the maximum sentence a Computer Misuse Act is? Or do you know what a Computer Misuse Act is, first of all? Again, type in the chat, that's completely fine. Or, basically, it's just a little bit of knowledge gain. Like, have you heard of Computer Misuse Act? Because you hear a lot of cybercrime, you hear a lot of hacking, but how do you interpret that for yourselves? Like, is it someone going to someone's account, someone, messing around with Netflix account, or is it to the extreme where they have identity fraud? Or is it someone losing their bank account, someone using that bank account, right? So again, I'm not sure, but there is a chat function. If you can just type it in there if you want. Um, so from Stuart, he said, is the unauthorized use access a system, like the misuse of NHS system, etc. Hacking, identity fraud, no. Okay, so Stuart is basically the closest one. Computer Misuse Act, basically the very gist of it is if you're not allowed or you don't have permission to use the technology, then you're breaking the law. As simple as some of you might have children, and those children try and either hold up your own phone on your face to try and unlock your phone, or try to guess your password and go into your account, or bypass your uh, parent filtering system. Those are all Computer Misuse Act. Basically, if you don't have permission, then you're breaking the law. That is what Computer Misuse Act. And basically, the maximum sentence that can be applied to it is life. And not a lot of crime actually has life sentences on them. Thankfully, nothing yet has been put. There's no sentence has been put life into Computer Misuse Act, but it is that the gravity of it, right? I'm sure you've heard of the M&S co-op, Harrods, Jaguar Land Rover, our airports basically going down type of thing. That's the gravity of Computer Misuse Act, of basically hacking. So a little bit of stats. So within the UK, the entire UK, every crime that's being reported about, of all crimes, sorry, that's being reported is about 56% cyber and fraud. And as a country, we lose about 220 billion pounds. It's insane. As a country, that's just yearly, by the way. It's annually. We lose about 220 billion pounds through fraud, scams, hacking, through individuals, private businesses, government organizations. And all of that have, very something grossly in common, which is the social media. And we'll touch about that later. So the foundation of hacking is something we call cyber kill chain. However, you don't really have to, know all of this, but it's just a little bit of prompt. So how it works, essentially, with the cyber kill chain, I want you to focus on the first three on the left-hand side. You got your reconnaissance, weaponization, and delivery, because that's what you'll see from day to day. So because it's such a high level volume of cybercrime report, you're more likely to receive a phishing email before, I don't know, you get mugged or you see a robbery in session. Okay. So you start off with reconnaissance. This is where social media plays such a vital point. And basically, social media is such a gold mine of information because it's free. And then a lot of people just post anything in there, right? So you do your reconnaissance. So what that is you scour information and you look for information. And you might have heard of it, called the dark web. So the dark web itself isn't illegal. It's what's in the dark web that's illegal. So you have something you call information brokers. These information brokers, you go up to them, you pay Bitcoin or you pay cryptocurrency. You say, okay, give me within Reading, okay, or within Berkshire, give me the first known 1,000 phone numbers and 1,000 email addresses. So they'll pay their cryptocurrency, then you'll get that information. From there on, in Berkshire, we weaponize that. We'll create a weapon. For example, Reading Festival. Okay, everybody knows about Reading Festival. So we'll weaponize that and say, oh, if you click this link, basically, or fill in this survey, we'll give you 20% off your next Reading Festival ticket. Okay, or share it with your friends and family and scan this QR code. Then you guys, as a group, will get 35% off your Reading Festival tickets. That is how you weaponize that information. And then you deliver that through either that phone numbers that you've gotten or that email address that you've gotten. Boom. That's your phishing email. That's your scam texts. That's your scam calls, your cold calls. That is essentially the foundation and the core of it. It's a cyber kill chain. And obviously you have your exploitation all the way to actions of objectives, command and control. If you then click the link and it downloads a virus. That is it, right? So now the technique that people use, or these scammers or hackers use, is what we call social engineering. Social engineering is a very big blur of text, but feel free to read it. Basically, it's to manipulate you or manipulate someone to share information they don't want to share, to download software they don't want to download, they visit websites they don't want to visit, or at the end of it, they give money that they don't want to give. It's been around forever. Everyone knew it as like, oh, the con artists or the scam artists, by simply just talking to them, they get people to do what they want. That is what social engineering is. And because we're social, or we're human by nature, we're very social by nature, there is about 8 billion of us, okay? It's about 8 billion of us in this earth. I think it's close to 9 billion now, I think. And basically over half of that have social medias. You have social medias, but over half of that have a minimum of at least, I believe, 6 social medias, right? That they've created. Social media for their cats, for their dogs, their favorite car that they're like, modding or refurbishing, flats that they're renovating, houses they're renovating, even as simple as a bake sale. They would create a social media for a bake sale, or bakes cakes, whatever. The day of their life in their jobs, clothing, shopping, cooking, anything in the social media. And all of these are free information of who you are, right? So it takes a peek of who you are, what you like, what you dislike. It's all essentially creating a picture or a routine for you. That's why social media is such a gold mine. If you don't know what a social media is, which I highly likely doubt it, these are the social medias that I'm talking about. A lot of people do miss WhatsApp as a social media though, because obviously it's not the big three, your TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat. But WhatsApp is a social media. A social media is essentially where you can share content, and those contents are basically pictures or videos. And basically, other people can see them and download it for themselves. That is why social media is. You're sharing socially, right? So now the dangers posed of it, why is it such a gold mine and why do I love it so much? Or hackers or scammers, it's because there's such thing as oversharing for it. Okay, you might have heard of it, someone might have told you about it, but just to show you how easily it is, I created, actually, scrap that, I didn't even create it. I went on Facebook. That's it. I just browsed Facebook without any accounts, without any creating anything. I found these pictures. Okay. So someone posting their date of birth, okay, who they are, where they live, someone's mother's maiden name, who's their mother's friends, where they go, someone receiving their first car, a Range Rover with their basically car registration number. And on top of that, basically where they got it from. So if we apply our cyber kill chain, if we then elevate our reconnaissance, I've searched where that garage is, and actually there's only two of that garages in that city. So I know they live in the vicinity of the west side of the city because that's where the garage is. Um, the best one I've actually looked and found out is someone moving into their new flats. So now I'm smiling because everything I needed is there. Okay. They're holding their keys with perfect clarity of how I can basically sculpt the key or try and copy the key with the fob with it. And basically, I can then go on, what's the website? Zoopla or Rightmove. Usually these properties will still be there advertised, even though obviously they've been sold, but you have that window. So you go to those websites, you'll see which state agents manages this flat. So all I have to do is basically post as the state agents, and because I know who they are, and usually their Facebook will have their email address, I will create an email address similar to that state agents and then tell them, hi there, I'm just gonna pop in for an inspection, or how's the move going, as a courtesy, blah 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 blah. Um, Post as the state agents. If not, I'll post as a plumber, electrician, facilities manager, garbage collector, just to try that door, and then either scalp the key and then to try to get into their building, right? That is how our online persona basically transcends into a physical life of hacking, as you say, or scamming. A lot of information out there. So you've heard of phishing. Everyone has been bored to death of phishing. Okay, it's been drilled to us, what to look for and whatnot. So I'll give you a fun fact about phishing instead. All right. Why is it pH? A lot of people just take it as it is. Oh, it's phishing by pH. Well, back in the day, we had that big, massive yellow phone book. And basically, in that big yellow phone book, we put in our full name, our full contact details, mobile phone, telephone numbers, landlines, our employment status, our full address as well, or anything else they want to know about us. That was it, our big yellow phone books. So people, such known as phone freaks, also known as freakers. So these phone freaks basically will start dialing up numbers, will basically tell you, hi there is a a job opportunity for you. So just looking at your employment status, seems like you're free, you're looking for a job. It's just so we know, if you fit this job, can you just tell us a little bit more information about yourself? And obviously, this is where the con or the scam goes, where obviously they'll fish for more information, all to the point where saying, oh, okay, yeah, you're actually a good fit. Can you come to this address and pay a initial, starting fee or whatnot? So that's how phishing came about. Okay. And funnily enough, through the national statistics within the UK with the cyber breaches 2025, 84% of companies, organizations, businesses still that reports getting hacked is through phishing. 84% of them that reported they got hacked as a company, as an organization, is still phishing, right? But you've heard of phishing. What about the new vishing, quishing, smishing, and all of this ishing? Basically, I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but they exist. But they're all essentially phishing. It's just a subcategory of it. So your vishing is your voice solicited attack. And basically, because AI exists, I only need 30 seconds. Actually, no, someone actually corrected me. They said they only need 8 seconds now. A clip of your voice to clone it. That's crazy. Within a span of 2 months or 3 months, it went down from 30 seconds to 8 seconds now because AI exists. So we can clone your voice. You don't have to be here physically. I don't need a video of you. I just need a voice clip of you, basically. So that's your vishing. So you clone the voice and then you attack basically using voice solicited calls. And then you have your quishing, which is your QR codes. So back in Southampton, there was a lot of reports or cases that got reported because a lot of people scanned the parking QR code, thinking that they've paid, but at the end of the month they received a fine from the Southampton City Council saying they didn't, because when they scanned the QR code, they loaded a web page that looked like Southampton City Council, but it was actually just a clone of it. The QR code, they stuck it on top of another QR code, and then basically people just scanned it, thinking they're paying. And then you have your smishing, which is your SMS text. I'm sure most of us, if not all of us in this call, have received your post office or your package is waiting for delivery. Click this link to reschedule it, for a small amount of 50 pence. Or what's the most common one? Your every delivery is out for delivery, or your courier is closed. I was like, I've never ordered every, I've never ordered from every. So how is that possible, right? That is a smishing. Then you have your phishing in the middle, and basically wrong grammatical errors and whatnot. So they say it'll take between 9 seconds to 15 seconds for someone to decide if they're going to open or read an email. So I'll give you 10 seconds to spot everything that you can as a telltale phishing on this left-hand side. So it's just, a little bit of fun, a little bit of memory jog, because this is how essentially we all got started on how to spot phishing, right? A lot of our companies, maybe even up so today, will have phishing campaigns. They'll send emails to you or your company basically to say, oh, this is phishing email. And basically, you'll spot what's wrong and then you'll find these things. So at the very top, obviously, not all of us actually look at the email address, especially when you're on your phone. It's very difficult to look at the very full email address. So this is what we call a typo squatting. A typo squatting is where you combine two letters to make it look like it's a one letter. So that's actually a small letter R and a small letter N to make it look like a small letter M. So Microsoft or Amazon, right? Especially nowadays, everybody shops in Amazon. What's the other one? NHS. So a capital N, a capital H, and a capital 5. Capital 5? Did I just say capital 5? Or number 5? There you go. So you get your NHS then. So, and then you have your urgency, your threat, your do this, do that. And then you have your wrong grammatical errors, spelling mistakes, and that link they click. Now, how about AI? So you throw AI in the mix. So this is where AI exists and excels. It's not per se to take our jobs, but it's to make everything more convenient and more efficient. So this is my personal email, sent to my personal email. And obviously, funnily enough, I was at a medical examination that day, and I read this email, and basically my heart started pumping because I was like, how did I get hacked? Or even I get panicked sometimes as well. So basically, it started off, hello pervert. I get called pervert a lot in this job for some reason. It's just, I don't know. And basically, they're saying, we've hacked your computer. We've installed a virus called Pegasus. And basically, you've been going onto these pornographic websites, and you've been doing all of these uh, questionable things while viewing these websites. And if you don't send us money through Bitcoin, we'll send it to your friends and family. Okay. So obviously, you Google the virus Pegasus. Pegasus is real. However, it's a very powerful tool. And usually they use it nations versus nations. They don't usually use it to civilians because it's that powerful and it's very expensive. So obviously, if you search that, it is real. However, they made two mistakes. Firstly, they said they've hacked into my webcam. They've been viewing my PC or been viewing while I've been visiting. Well, every time I actually don't present, I unplug my webcam. I obviously have a webcam on my laptop, but I have a webcam blocker as well. And then secondly, they said, we'll send it to your friends, but I don't have any friends. So jokes on them. However, AI exists. This can be written in under 30 seconds, right? So for example, let's have a go at ChatGPT. Hi, ChatGPT. Write me a email saying that I'm a university student and I'm here on a university or a student visa. And basically, here are my bank details. I just need some help with food and some accommodation, basically make it sound endearing, make it sound believable, or make it sound like a heartfelt, struggling student. ChatGPT will write that under 30 seconds. You add your bank details in there. And how easy is it to do the reconnaissance with the Reading University? You will have their first name, that last name at reading.ac.uk. Okay. And then you'll have that email address. And then you just send it to how many email addresses of Reading University students you can. And then, yeah, some of them will probably have such a kind heart, never been exposed to the world and the reality of it, will probably give you a fiver. Okay. There you go. That's how you apply cyber kill chain in your phishing and basically. So with your phones, however, again, I've mentioned, you don't usually see the full email address. So what you do instead, you hit reply all. So you see Corey Nash Rayner's email address is corey.nashrayner@watchgut.com. You hit reply and basically it becomes Corey Nash Rayner mobile research.me at gmail.com. That is what we call a spoofing email. It's quite easy to do. There's tools out there for free that you could use. And that's how they made it look like I've sent an email to myself. So they copied my email address. Right? So very simple, very straightforward. But again, just hit reply all. Or if you're not expecting email from that person, then just don't. Because old and gone are the days basically of spotting a phishing email. It's more better to be cyber aware risk, basically more cyber risk oriented. Because back in the day, we know the dangers of a moving car, so we can see it physically. But now we're doing with technology, we essentially just have should have an inclination of a little bit of skepticism, right? We don't trust anything that we see, type of thing. So on your email address, personal one, I want you to go into this website. Basically, it's called Have I Been Pwned? So let me just pull the website for you guys. It's quite easy. Takes about 30 seconds. So it'll look like this. So it's a very well trusted website. It's a free tool. And what it does is it's been created by an ex-Microsoft employee. You put in your email address, it'll scour throughout the internet as well as the dark web if your email address has been part of a data breach. A data breach is where a company got hacked, such as M&S, where then your email address, your passwords, your usernames, or sometimes even your geographic location. It'll look like this if you've been part of a breach. It's quite a simple fix. You go to your email address, change your password, and activate your 2FA. It's straightforward. Um, Basically, then, for example, Teespring or Twitter, they usually get breached quite a lot. For Teespring, it leaked my geographic location because what it is, um, Is the sound gone again?
I
I
can
don't
hear
think.
you, Hiro.
Yes. You might have to reload it. So yeah, for Teespring, it's a t-shirt designing website. So you design your website, your t-shirt, then they ship it to you. So therefore, I need to give them my geographic location so they can deliver it to my house. However, when they then got breached, it leaked my geographic location, which my address is as well within the website. So that's why it's really good websites to check it, see what's out there, and basically so that you have a little inclination if you need to change your password per se. Because again, once a company has been breached, some prestigious one wouldn't even make it to the news until later on, where MNS got hacked. But actually, MNS got hacked weeks before it made the national news. You know, and obviously they've already gotten the passwords, they've gotten the email addresses of people. That's why. Speaking of passwords, okay, this is why you never recycle a password. This is why they tell you to do not use the same password for everything because of data breaches. So if a company that you registered and the passwords got leaked, that password immediately becomes null and becomes void. Because as hackers will have multiple websites open. They'll go to information brokers, they'll get that email address, usually with a password, then they'll try it on every single website out there. And this is why you don't use repeat passwords, right? And it's very difficult nowadays because we have multiple accounts, multiple different websites that we sign up for. So the good practice with passwords is essentially to have 3 random words, okay? So in this case, you'll have a passphrase. And basically, the longer it is, the better. So if you think of the 3 random words at the top of your head, let's say pizza monkey chair, pizza monkey chair. There you go. So pizza monkey chair, believe it or not, is actually a very strong password or passphrase. It's really strong because the more characters it has, the better. The longer it is, the better. So we'll come back to the other points because judging from this matrix that they released, basically this is the number of characters. Just use your normal passwords right now. Your main password that you use for emails or your personal emails, your work emails. Now count how many characters you have, okay? And see if you have uppercase, lowercase, and then numbers, and then special characters. Where do you fall in this matrix? Because that pizza monkey chair is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 16 characters. Pizza monkey chairs is 16 characters, and it's only upper and lowercase letters. It'll take 2 billion years to crack that password. And obviously, if you add a character, let's say 1, right, with number, that becomes 2 trillion years. And again, if I add an exclamation mark at the end of it, it becomes 7 quadrillion years. It cascades. So pizza monkey chair, exclamation mark, 1 exclamation mark, is 18 characters. And it becomes 7 quadrillion years to try and break that, right? So that's how passphrases, the longer it is, the better. And that password doesn't relate to me or myself. Okay. I know a lot of people love pizza, but how would they, create that password? Basically, now the problem with passphrases, or passwords in general, we have to remember them. And if you're like me, I'm quite forgetful. So what I do, I put it in a notebook. And then I elevated that notebook. I put it on my notes app on my iPhone, basically. And your phones are a very secure device. Okay. Once you have it locked, it's a very difficult thing to get into. And then you have apps as well that you could use called password managers. Password managers, some you can pay, some are free. But again, it's up to you whether you want to do that or not. Basically, what it does is you will have an app, and in order to unlock that app, you need to have one master password. And then from there on, it'll give you a list of your other passwords that you've put in there, basically, that you use. But if you're like me, I use my Notes app on my iPhone, and I use my secure folder and secure notes on my Android. And basically, in order to get to those apps, I either need biometrics, patterns, or my Face ID. Okay. So it's another layer of security on top of layer of security. So your phones itself are very, very secure devices. As long as you walk away and you lock the phone, okay? It's a secure device, but obviously if it's unlocked, then it's not secure. So hopefully, from the matrix I've shown you, you change your passwords on your main email address. Okay, your main email address is a very, very core of your persona and what you use for day-to-day lives, and basically it holds a lot of information about yourself. Okay, that's where you start off your, I suppose, cyber journey or your cyber persona. You create your first email address and then you sign up to all hundreds of websites, create hundreds of accounts. So Jimmy Kimmel. Hopefully you have sounds. If not, I'll link the YouTube videos and then you can basically watch along with us. So for context, they've had their banks in America that got hacked and a lot of usernames, passwords, social security numbers, which is our national insurance numbers, got leaked. So they went out to the street, started asking people for their passwords. So I really love this video because even though it's quite old, essentially it is the purest form of social engineering. So hopefully you've you see how it went, or I believe some of the sound was gone. Basically, they started asking for passwords. So it's the purest form of social engineering where they have a camera stuck to their face, a microphone basically as well, and they just ask what's your password. And a lot of people for some reason are compelled to tell you what their password is. So much so that I've repeated the exact same thing in Reading Freshers University, where I've had a table saying Cybercrime Unit, Thames Valley Police. I have a poster saying, if you tell me your passwords, I will tell you how strong it is, and I'll give you a £20 Amazon voucher. Almost 67 students have told me their passwords. And again, it doesn't, from doing a reconnaissance, we'll know what their email address will be student last name first name at reading.ac.uk, and they told me their passwords because they wanted to see if it's secure, or they wanted to basically challenge me if I can say if it's secure or not. And they wanted that £20 Amazon vouchers. And then obviously I tell them, no, unfortunately this is a scam. You shouldn't really trust someone immediately, and you should change your password as well. But obviously I show them my warrant card. I am from Thames Valley Police, but there you go. Some again, a lot of them, haven't heard the scenario or that saying, if it's too good to be true, it probably is, right? So passwords or passphrases aren't enough with the world of hacking and scamming. This is why they created the 2SV, 2FA, and MFA. So two-step verification, two-factor authentication, and multi-factor authentication. They are essentially the same thing. I don't know why we have all of these different things. If you remember back in the day, the banks would have sent us a little fob that we have to generate a 6-digit in order to access our online banking. That is the very earliest form of your 2FA. It's that 6-digit that they ask you to put in after you put in your passwords. So again, another layer of security. So our defense in depth is in full motion. So most of the time now, a lot of websites, social medias, different, organizations will ask you your phone number so that they can send you your 6-digit. However, if you have 5 minutes, please, I urge you to download the Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator on your phone, and then integrate or, migrate your 6-digit, your 2FA, to that app. Because we've been dealing with cases called a SIM swap or SIM jacking. What it does is, did you know after the 07 of your phone number, the first 3 digits will tell which provider you're from. So I would know if you're from O2, EE, Vodafone. And once I have that, I will basically call your provider posing as you. Hi there, I'm such and such. I've recently moved jobs, and therefore I've recently moved my address. I would like to order a new SIM. However, I'd like to keep the exact same number, please. So they'll send a new SIM to a new address with the same phone number. So now, if you request a 2FA, it will go to the new SIM with the same number. This is why I try to tell people to move away from the text message and then go to the app instead. So that is essentially what we call SIM swap, SIM jacking. But hopefully, it's better than nothing to activate 2FA to all across your internet accounts, right? Your social media accounts, especially your main email address. All of these websites, all of these accounts will offer 2FA. So please activate them as well. It's another layer of cybersecurity for free. So this next video will basically tie it all in. And what it does is, for context, this is DEF CON. So it's the biggest conference for cybersecurity in the world. And basically it's conducted in America, and all hackers go. Good hackers and bad hackers, malicious hackers, or people that just wants to hack. So much so that there is a massive sign at the very front door. Before you enter, it's saying enter at your own risk. Because, but if you do, please turn off your phones, turn off your laptops, turn off your Apple Watch, your Google Watch, any Fitbits, anything that connects to the internet, please turn it off. If you don't, then just enter at your own risk. Because obviously this guy, unfortunately, is a reporter. So he said, no, it's okay. We're doing a documentary. Please go ahead. So So that is essentially vishing. That's done in real life. And if you think that is a skit, then I would like to point you towards Marks and Spencer's, because that is essentially how Marks and Spencer's went down, and it cascaded to Co-op, that cascaded to Harrod, that then cascaded to Jaguar Land Rover. What they did was they've attacked the third party that supports Marks and Spencer's, their IT tech support or whatnot. Basically, they bombarded them with phishing calls. So obviously, the people are under stress because they're receiving a lot of calls, and basically, they just got, I suppose, lucky that they reset one password. They managed to reset one of the passwords for the admin accounts. And basically, the people that did it is called Scattered Spiders, and they are composed of 16 years old all the way to 19-year-olds. And basically, they're all over the world, but 4 of them got arrested here in the UK. And that is essentially how they attack MNS, through a phishing. Just a heavily bombardment, and then it cascaded. Again, this is how simple hacking is. It's about 90% hacking the people, 10% hacking the systems. That's it. And this is where AI exists now that helps hacking. This is where the scams happens, your romance frauds, your money mules. There's even cyber kidnapping now as well. Okay. But yeah, this is where your scams of your influencers or your content creators and whatnot, that obviously we have this deal, or we saw this and saw that, we would like to use you as an ambassador for our product. All of these different types of scam are being bolstered by AI because there's no more grammatical errors. You don't need to learn to speak English anymore to have an English account, right? And then you have your romance fraud because you can create personas now in AI. you know um, you have It makes it really believable that you're talking to a person because you have your vishing or your voice cloning now. So this is where all those scams appear. And um, what they do is they search for social medias that doesn't have enough security on them, that you can just basically message them. But there is a on every social media they will have security settings or privacy settings, as you will, actually that's the right word, privacy settings, that you can basically um, customize. So you a bit more secure. No other people can message you that you don't know or haven't added you. So that is where that comes in, right? So this one, hopefully you can hear the audio, is a voice cloning online. Okay. So I'm not sure if you've seen this or not, but this is how it's done. So that is essentially voice cloning, and there's a lot of AI tools that you could use to do that. That's why usually it's very good to just double check, hang up the phone, and then call that loved one or call that person that just called you thinking or asking for information, asking for money, right? Um, Nowadays, it's very good to live as skeptical. It's not the most ideal way, but it's the most safest way to live in terms of technology, right? So what about then when they tell you not to click the link or not to download software that you don't trust? Because there is such thing as we call a malicious software. Malicious software is also known as a virus, and basically what they do is they will install a software, and basically they would be essentially what you call a RAT, so a remote access tool. Usually there's some apps as well in the Apple Store and Google Store. They're called RATs. So once you install them, they will be able to access your phone through that software. That's why you don't download link or you don't click links or you don't download software, right? As well as updating devices. So you want to update your devices as much as you can, and basically even your work laptops. Okay, when your IT asks you to update them, it's not because it's to give you inconvenience, but it is to essentially help you. If you think of a wall, and basically there's cracks on the bricks on that wall, or there's hole in the wall, what it does, it basically it patches that. It either fills in that brick or it either helps remove that crack, and basically that is what we call patching. So they'll basically install. It applies to your home, your home, your PS5s, your Xbox, or your Alexas, or your Google Chromes, anything that's connected to the internet. Those are what we call smart devices, right? So the Internet of Things. Anything that's connected to the internet can be hacked. Okay, no one can tell you otherwise. As much very simple as a printer can be hacked, as long as you didn't if you didn't secure it properly. So what's the most common one? I think a Ring doorbell app or Ring doorbell. A lot of people will basically have reported that their Ring doorbell got hacked, but actually when it comes and then they set it up, they didn't realize that it's still admin password and then admin username. Okay, so they don't realize that, and basically they set it up. A lot of people will scour the internet and then find any devices that haven't been set up properly, so they'll log into that. Or for example, you have smart technology now where you have smart fridges, door, what is it, washing machine as well, or even microwaves, smart heating, right? So our family went on vacation for 2 weeks, and then when they came back, they reported a burglary. So two officers in Somerset and Avon attended the scene. They checked the house. There's no broken doors. There's no shimmied locks. There's no, cracked windows. There's no signs of forced entry. What they did see is an Alexa by the windowsill, and basically, Alexa, um, open front door. So Alexa then unlocks the front door because it's connected through Alexa, and then they just walk in, took things, and then basically walk out. So all of technology, have a security settings instilled in them. It's just no one teaches that to us when we get them. I suppose when we're growing up, no one really teaches us how to stay safe properly on, I suppose, cyberspace, right? Um, and essentially, that is why all of these settings we call digital footprints, right? We all have them. There's something about us online. For example, when was the last time, let's say, you did a housekeeping with your WhatsApp? Or when was the last time you did a housekeeping on your main email address? Did you know that you've sent a document, either password, driving license, medicals, on your email? It'll still be on your out sent or your outbox, your sent items. It'll still be there. When was the last time you deleted that? When was the last time you removed that from there? Okay, because you know hopefully you don't get hacked and then your email doesn't get hacked, but they will still be there. Same with the WhatsApp. When was the last time you removed those pictures or deleted or unsent, those pictures or those documents that you sent in the WhatsApp group or a WhatsApp text? When was the last time you deleted? All of those are essentially your digital footprints. Okay, so hopefully I've scared you enough. I've give you a little bit more knowledge on how it works with the scams, because you know a lot of people can't distinguish between hacking or scamming. Essentially, they're all done the same way. It's just they're more scamming is now more heavily technology based, like enabled, right? They use technology to scam people because you can scam someone all across in America while you're sitting here drinking your cup of coffee, and you don't even have to be in America. You know, you can scam people now. It traverses your physical reality into our cyberspace, right? So, what now, right? What now? I really love this phrase. Be politely paranoid. That's it, right? You don't have to be go on full skepticism. You don't have to be skeptical, fully skeptical. You just be politely paranoid, or you be politely rude, right? No is such a good and powerful word. I really like saying the word no, especially when they tried to give me more work, and I was like, nope, I'm okay. So it's be politely paranoid. That's it. And then you have your ABCs. Just like as we were growing up, we get told, what's dangerous, and here's our ABCs. You have ABCs as well in the cyberspace. You accept nothing, you believe no one, and then you confirm everything. Again, I don't care if that's your grandma, I don't care if that's your grandpa, okay? Like, I don't care if that's your mom, dad, your son, your daughter. I don't care. Like, I have to confirm it is you, okay? If by any chance we have that little alarm that sets in our head, why are they asking for money? Why are they asking for where I am? Or why are they asking for any information about myself that I think it's important? Why are they asking, right? It's always that why in my head, or why is it too good to be true? You confirm everything. That's it. So I think there will be a poll as well, but it's a very simple yes or no questions, right? Hopefully you'll be able to answer it in your head, right? If you can answer all of these questions. But I think Marcia will also post a question regarding on how confident you guys are now that in terms of how hacking happens or how scamming happens, because it really doesn't change the fact that they're still trying to essentially tug on your human aspects, and basically they try and, I suppose, play on your emotions. That is essentially what scamming is. Your social engineering still goes into that aspects of trying to commit that scam or that fraud. So hopefully you'll be able more confident. In terms of reporting of scams or your frauds, it's very simple. We have a one-stop shop reporting. It's called Action Fraud. Actually, it's being rebranded to Report Fraud. So you just report fraud, and that's for cybercrime, and that's for fraud. Okay. And then basically they'll take information, then they'll come, they'll disseminate to the proper police force. Essentially, this is where the crime reference number will come from if a bank is asking for it. A bank, normally, if you've been scammed on a bank, normally they would ask you, have you reported to the police? Have you got crime reference number? This is where you'll get that crime reference number, report fraud or action fraud. And hopefully you do it first so that the bank will can carry on their process on their side. Other bits of reporting is you have your 7726, your texts, your spams that you get. It's free. You just forward the text to that. It's for us for intel gathering so that we can tell you what's out there. 159 is a very good reporting phone call, I suppose, a phone number. It works for mobile phones and landlines. It's during COVID times. A lot of people get scammed, a lot of people got defrauded with their banks and identity frauds and whatnot because they couldn't go into a bank and they don't know the phone number of the bank. So you dial 159, you'll get securely connected to a robot software asking you which bank you bank with, and you tell them HSBC, HSBC connecting you to customer support, HSBC. And then you forward any emails, obviously, report phishing, report at phishing.gov.uk, right? Um, and if you have time, there is an app. Well, I say app, but there's a website that we created. Again, it's for free. It's a free tool for your loved ones, for yourself as well. And basically, it's called cybercheck.app. So hopefully it will load. And what it does is it's essentially everything that I spoke of about it today. And it'll tell you, it's like a little small gamification. It'll tell you what else you need to do, where else you need to do it, and the most important thing, why you should do it. So again, you don't need to create an account for it. It's literally just a little bit of a tech checklist for you, for your loved ones, friends, family, colleagues as well, right? And that's pretty much the end of my presentation. If you can you just, um, I suppose if you can just fill out a survey for like 30 seconds. If you have any questions at all as well, any experiences, experience is such a good teacher because it shares the reality of it that anyone can be targeted, right? Um, Basically, that's it. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. And if you have 30 seconds, it just tells my inspectors, my sergeants to say that, offering this webinars and community engagements is a very valuable use of our time in the police, basically.
Wow, thank you very much, Hiro. So I'm sure we obviously have some questions, please. But who else is going to be spending the next hour changing their passwords, checking their passwords? I know I am. Can I thank everybody for attending today? Thank Hiro for his time this morning. That's probably one of the most comprehensive sessions that I've attended on cybercrime. So I'm really grateful. Thank you very much. And yeah, you're just getting some thanks in the chat as well. So yeah, perfect.
That's okay, no worries.
Thank you.
But
Thank
yeah,
you.
thank you everyone for coming as well. And
Okay.
yeah,
Okay then. Bye-bye then.
bye. Bye.
Oh, Hiro, have you